You know, I've heard a lot of people say a lot of really good sounding things in the course of my life. I've heard a lot of people say a lot of really good sounding things, but I want you to understand something, and that is what you say is important, but it's not half as important as what you do. What you do is what's really important. What you do is even a more valid form of expression of what you believe than what you say. Hello and welcome to the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Thursday, the 30th of December of 2020. That means tomorrow will be New Year's Eve. Welcome to everybody who's coming on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. Thank you for coming and looking in on me today. I just wanted to talk about a subject that I've kind of entitled Expressing Values. And I've got to tell you that I'm going to fly a little bit blind on this one and be a little bit freer in what I say, right? What I'm trying to get at is really a pretty simple thing, I think. But it may take a little bit of time to explain exactly what it means to me, okay? What I'm saying is, it can simply be summed up in the idea that when you say things, what you say is nice, it's fine, it's good, but that doesn't mean that you're going to act in accordance with what it is that you said, right? There's this biblical passage that comes to mind over and over in this thought train for me, and I'm going to kind of play it out the way I would. And it's basically, you've got this dad and he's a farmer and he's got two kids, and he goes to his first kid who's sitting on the couch watching TV and says to that kid, hey son, how about you go and work in the field today? We really need plowing or reaping or whatever it is that happens to be needed at that point in time. His son says, yeah, okay dad, I'll go ahead and do that. When it comes time to actually do it, he doesn't do it. He goes to his other son, says, and the other son is not feeling him really very well at that point in time, and on top of that, he's not maybe the most personable human being you ever met in your life. But dad goes to him and says, "Hey son, how about you go work in the field today? We need, various things done. Can you go ahead and get out there and do that?" And that son says, I ain't doing it. But later on, that son decides to get out and do what it is his dad asked him to do. Now, the question that's asked in the Bible about this is, which of these two did what the father asked the son to do? And the answer is pretty obvious. The one who did what he was asked to do was the one who said he wasn't going to do it. And that's the point. It isn't about what you say, it's about what you do. And here's the thing. What actually expressed the values of each of those people better? What they said or what they did? I don't think it takes a genius to figure out that it was what they did. And this is true. This has been true. I can't tell you how many times in my life where people have said flowery things, oh, nice, wonderful, lovely things, and then never carried through on what it is that they said. And that's just as true for people who seem surly, mean-spirited, and nasty, but were the ones who actually did what it was they said they were not going to, or whatever, right? And so, obviously the preferred is for a person to say they're going to do something and to do what they said, right? That's the preferred thing. But if I had to choose between a person who was going to say that he would do this or that, he or she would do this or that, and then not do it, and a person who would say that he or she was not going to do a particular thing and then did it, you can be pretty assured that the person I'm going to pick is going to be the one who says they're not going to do it and then does a particular thing. Again, obviously, given the absolute choice, it would be have a person say what it is that they were going to do and do that thing. That's pretty obvious. Here's the thing. We have right now a political class in this country who are a lot of sayers, who aren't necessarily very many of them doers of what they say. All right? And in a way, it's a good thing for some of them, because some of the things that they say they're going to do, they realize that they cannot do without it being a serious problem. Okay? But for those who say nice, flowery, wonderful things and then don't do what they say, okay, those people, to me, are as big a problem as any kind of person I can imagine. I want to point something out. There have been a lot of people who have talked about, and I talked to a friend recently about this who happens to be an Australian, and but there are a lot of people who've talked about some of the things that they've heard Donald Trump. And again, I don't normally get into people, but I want to sort of express exactly what it is, the thing that I'm talking about. And he happens to be a very good example, in my opinion, of this. And they pointed out that he said something about injecting disinfectant into the bloodstream. And I saw the video and I recognize that you could take what he said to mean exactly that, and I'm not trying to say otherwise. But here's the thing. If you look at what he did is not in line with what you or I believe him to have said. And here's another thing that's important. If you look at what he did, in fact, you will see that what he did was leaned very heavily on a bunch of people to do things that were reasonable things to do, all things considered, when it comes to, for example, the COVID-19 crisis. But more importantly, that he did things. He said, I'm going to make unemployment better. He said, what have you got to lose? And in my view, he then acted in a way that showed he was going to make things better, and that did, in fact, make things better. And when he said, what have you got to lose to Black Americans, I believe that he acted in a way that made a large number of Black Americans change their vote to back him in the 2020 election, regardless whether he won or lost. This is something that you need to realize. And I'm just going to tell you something. You're a Black American, well, you're stupid. No, you're not. I'm not saying there's no such thing as a stupid Black American any more than I'm saying there's no such thing as a stupid white American, okay? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the average Black American isn't stupid. They're not stupid, okay? And they're going to see what people say to them, and they're going to see what people do for them, whatever that happens to look like, and they're going to base what they do in future on what those people are doing for them, not what they are saying to them, if they have any sense. Now, just like with white Americans, there's a problem among Black Americans, and it's hard to keep up on what people do. It's easier to listen to what people say and form your judgment on that basis. That's not the exclusive province of African Americans. That's something that people do. White Americans, Black Americans, I don't care who they are, Asian Americans. Now, I will tell you, as a rule, that there are certain groups of people that seem to be better at looking at what people do and not caring so much about what they say. And the basis for that, first of all, tends to be sort of ethnic philosophy, right? So Asian Americans, Asian people of various kinds, tend to have a more, it's what you do for me, it's not what you say to me that matters so much, right? They tend to have a lot more of that philosophy. Conservative people tend to be more interested in what you do than what you say. That's just a reality. It doesn't matter what you think of that. But here's what it's coming down to. I see myself running out of time. I didn't think I was going to have enough to say, to be quite frank with you, in what I'm doing today. And that's just life. I started down the road thinking we're going to try this out and see where it goes, and it looks like it went okay. But here's the thing. I want to wrap this up. I want to get to the point where I have a solid wrap-up for you. And my wrap-up for you is really, 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 really pay attention to what people do, because what they say only matters if they follow through. And if they don't do that, what they say isn't worth a hill of beans. I'm sorry to tell you that. It's just not. So if you hear somebody with all kinds of flowery words and then they don't follow through, well, that's what happened, regardless whatever else is true. If you see somebody who is coarse and rough and hard to deal with, but they follow through and they do what they say and what they do is good, or even they don't do what they say but what they end up doing is good, that's the person that I would much rather deal with on a day-to-day basis. Okay, as I say, it is Thursday, the 30th of December. That means Tomorrow will be Friday the 31st of December and will be New Year's Eve. I'm glad to have had you along today. I hope you're having a good day, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Thursday, the 30th of December, 2020. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.